Genesis says we were originally created in God's image. We had very high intelligence, but more importantly, we had a sound mind, no evil thoughts, no impure motives, vain imaginations, or psychological problems of any kind. Just pure mental radiance. In this way, we reflected God's image. Then, of course, Satan came into the picture, and he tempted Eve with the forbidden fruit. Right after Adam and Eve failed their test of obedience, almost immediately, our once perfect nature became corrupted. And for the first time, we began to know shame, guilt, anger, envy, malice, and hatred. And we started to develop the inclination to do evil and all sorts of injurious things. Today, these are still the traits of our corrupted nature, inherited from Adam and Eve. Since the Garden of Eden, mankind has been striving with an inner conflict. This inner conflict is, of course, good versus evil. And we're talking about the almost gravitational pull that we experience towards sin, and in contrast, the deep longing we possess for spiritual fulfillment. It's the spirit of a man that pines for fellowship with his Creator, but his carnal instincts that drive him to seek only to gratify the flesh continually. Even Paul, one of Christianity's most devout servants, who ended up losing his life for the gospel's sake, admitted to having this conflict himself. Here are his words, roughly paraphrased, in Romans 7:19 and 24. He said, "The things that I want to do, I can't seem to do them. And the things that I don't want to do are the very things I end up doing. O wretched man that I am." Now, Paul's admission here is not to discount or discredit the victories and great spiritual triumphs he had in his ministry. It just allows us to glimpse at his humanity, his fallibility as a person, just like you and me. It underscores the truth that there is indeed a conflict, and that this conflict will no doubt continue until we receive our glorified bodies in the resurrection. But even now, in this life, we can get some victories over sin. We can be overcomers. And that's what this message is really about. How to be an overcomer. First of all, it's extremely important to realize that you, by yourself, are powerless against sin. You cannot go it alone. It won't happen by your might, your willpower, self-control, or lack thereof. The only way to keep your Christianity from becoming a lifeless branch that bears no fruit is to start abiding in the vine. The vine, of course, being Jesus. He is the life-giving source, the spiritual nutrients that we need to empower us to become, to produce, to bear fruit. So how do we graft ourselves back in? How do we reattach to the vine, aka Jesus? Well, lo and behold, the answer is found in John 1:1 and 14. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. The glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. This passage unequivocally defines the Word as Jesus, the only begotten Son of God. Thus, to abide in Jesus is to abide in the Word, because they are synonymous. Now, we also need to rewire our thinking about what abide means. The word abide means to live or to dwell. So we should now start thinking about living in the Word as compared to, well, you know what we are probably used to doing, just spending a precious few and fleeting moments with him per day or sometimes even per week. We need these fruits now, and we need them operational in our lives. Here are the fruits listed in Galatians 5:22 and 23. The fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, faith, meekness, temperance, and long-suffering. Imagine how many spiritual battles you could win with these fruits. So abiding in the Word causes us to walk in the Spirit and causes these fruits to be operational. When we're walking in the Spirit is when we can see the world around us through the eyes of Jesus. And we can have power over sin. We can be overcomers. Consider Galatians 5:16. It says, when you're walking in the Spirit, you will not fulfill the lusts of the flesh. And we know that the converse of that is also true. And when you're walking in the flesh, sometimes you have no desire for anything spiritual. So let's graft ourselves back into the vine. Let's abide in the Word. Let's live in the Word and be overcomers.